In the Fuzzy Memories podcast, we celebrate the good, the rad, and the fugly of the 80s and 90s.
We're three latchkey kids who made it out alive.
And in each episode, we break down all the culture that popped, 1 year at a time.
Whether it's the birth of legends...
I'm Lyme disease free today, and I have Whitney Houston and MTV to thank. Or audacious moves.
Imagine also the poor Golden Gate Bridge. You turn 75 and people have a party on you.
Yep. I don't want that.
Or even confusing PSAs.
In the stop, drop, and roll. I mean, I assumed as an adult I would catch on fire weekly.
All the time!
We've got a take that will make you laugh.
We've also got thoughts on all sorts of random phenomena and the most unmitigated of golf.
Why sharks can't be trusted, people can't be trusted, and rivers can't be trusted. It's collusion.
It's of the highest degree.
Uh-huh.
You were counseling me to start my remarks with, first of all, bitch.
Everyone in that room would have snapped to attention.
It's going to be basically coffee lids, shark revenge, and then maybe like Matt Getz. God, we need to do something about him.
Join us every other Wednesday to celebrate the hits, the misses, and the misfits of the weirdest decades.
If I could tell my 14-year-old self from 1990 that I would be eating in a Cheesecake Factory in
Beverly Hills,
I'd be like, we did it. We did it, Joe.
We did it.
Listen and subscribe to Fuzzy Memories on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and your favorite podcast platform.
Welcome to Broads and Books, the podcast with one unique theme, 4 handpicked book recommendations, and 2 broads. I'm Amy.
And I'm Erin, and this is episode 19, She's the Boss.
She's the boss, because who's the boss?
She's the boss.
This week's theme is all about lady bosses, ladies that are killing it, women that are bossing things around, but in a good way.
In a good way.
Yes.
Yes. Female
bossy,
leaders, bosses.
All of the things.
Doing it.
Doing the thing.
Yeah. And I refuse to call this episode Lady Boss because I don't like that phrase.
I don't like it either. I don't like girl boss.
No.
I don't like all of those. It's
No.
diminishing.
Yeah. I'm not a normal boss. I'm a girl boss or a lady boss.
Yes.
No. I'm a boss.
That's like when they, make razors pink and suddenly it's a lady razor.
Yeah.
And charge, $1 more.
I'm telling you, that does not stop Mike. Doesn't help. Whatever you think you're doing, Vic, it's not working. So
wait, does that mean Mike is buying the pink razors?
No, he uses mine all the time.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. In fact, I've stopped buying any other kind because he just uses it anyway.
See,
so.
that's the thing. We don't need no pink to make it a lady thing.
No.
Yeah. We don't need our tampons and feminine products to be pink.
No.
That's gross.
Yeah, that's off-putting.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So, Erin, thinking about leadership, women being bosses, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
If you could run a large, well-known company, say a Target, an Apple, Facebook, whatever, would you do it?
Yeah, I would.
What would you do?
100%.
Yeah?
And it would be Target. And here's why. Jeff Bezos, I'm coming for you.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
See, I like a challenge.
Yeah.
And I don't think that you're going to get Amazon. I don't think he's going to give up control of that. He's, for a lot of reasons. But if I could get control of Target and just make it a personal mission, I probably wouldn't succeed because he's got his fingers in so much stuff. Everybody's behind the 8 ball with that guy. But if I could just have that challenge every day, that would get me out of bed. I'd just be like, today's the day. It would just be life goals all the time.
2 follow-up questions.
Yeah.
1, would you have a picture of Jeff Bezos as like a target on your mirror? And, you cross it out with red X and all that kind of stuff.
I would take it a step further. I'm the boss. So I'm thinking that, I don't want it to be a target. I don't want it to seem violent, but it would be an obsessive culture in my office.
For sure.
We would be obsessed.
Yeah.
It would be important that everyone knows exactly what he's up to all the time because we need to start thinking one step ahead of him.
Yeah.
Any little victory that we have that we somehow beat them on some part of market share, huge party every time.
Yeah.
big incentives for my employees.
So this means you have a surveillance department.
Pretty much, yeah.
Corporate espionage team.
A little corporate spying, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Can I be part of that team?
Yes.
I'm all on it.
Okay, good.
Okay,
I was
great.
hoping.
Yeah.
I mean, you were going to be part of the executive team.
Oh, good.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
If you want to
Yeah,
run
yeah.
that department, that's fine.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
hell yeah, I will. I'm reading a book right now about the German, East German secret police.
Oh.
I've got tons of ideas.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
See, this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I'm coming for you, and this is how it's going to go. Because I think if there's one company that is sort of getting close, it's them.
Yeah.
To the Amazon. I mean,
For sure.
they're doing a lot of unique things. They're trying
They
all
are.
the time, and I like a lot of their products. So
Mhm.
that's
you're
where I'm
gonna do
at.
it.
I'm going
Ooh.
to do it.
Are you gonna have a nickname like the executioner or the something like that?
Yeah.
Would you have a wardrobe like a Steve Jobs type?
Oh, like
uniform
just
wardrobe?
No, I want to be real random.
You-
Like I
yeah,
don't
that's
want
a good
you
idea.
to know what I'm gonna have, like
Sure.
what's coming. I want
No
there
one
to
can
be
predict
a sense
you.
of surprise. Like
Yes.
we know she's gonna be in a black turtleneck and black pants. No, you have no idea what
Today
I'm
she's
gonna
coming
wear.
out in a tutu.
Yeah, you
Mhm.
don't know exactly. And I want my name to be something real weird. Like
Yeah.
I don't want it to be dark like the executioner. I want it to be like like an athlete's foot. You can't get away. Can't get rid of me that easy. You might do a lot of treatments, but I'm going to creep back up before you know it. You think it's safe. It's not safe.
Yeah. So you're named after a fungus.
Yeah.
That keeps repeating,
Just keeps growing.
like ringworm.
Yeah.
I love it.
Just keeps coming back.
Oh my god. This
Good
is
luck to
wonderful.
you.
I can't wait until this
I
happens.
know, right? I was born for this.
Oh,
What are you
boy.
gonna do?
Yeah.
So, because you're going to be part of my executive team,
Yeah.
this feels like a good question to ask you.
Mhm.
What do you think is the hardest thing for females in leadership positions?
I think just being a female. I'll tell you
Right.
that right now.
Yeah.
I think part of it is there's a idea of what females are. Females are, they're emotional.
Mm-hmm.
They can't handle things. They, they're not reliable. They
Mm-hmm.
get pregnant, so they just have to, leave. All of these things that, somehow
Mm-hmm.
we have been branded as a kind of person that can't, put work as a priority.
Right.
We can't, work as hard as other guys. We can't do this kind of stuff, which is BS because we've known this for a long time. So we have to work just as hard, if not more, than the men in the room to get anywhere.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So that's what I'm saying. So our team is going to be all female. How does that sound?
That's great. That's
Also, the
perfect.
corporate espionage team, all female.
That's fine. That's
Okay,
great. That's
great.
great. There is a part of me that has toyed with the idea of perhaps creating some sort of male robot that people think that's who I am. And then at some point there's a big reveal. Like after a particularly stunning defeat of him,
Yeah.
that then it comes out that this whole time it was me running the robot.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I really like
I've
this.
kicked that around.
So are you in the robot suit or is this a robot that you've sent out into the world with like remote
Way.
control?
I feel like I probably have to be in it because I think there might be things that come up that I might need to deal with right
Yeah.
at that moment.
Yeah. Mhm.
You know, I don't know if you can fully get me in a robot, like inside the head of a robot to
Right.
respond appropriately.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
appropriately is an interesting way to describe
I
myself.
don't think appropriate's going to come into this practice at all.
no.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? You're right. I'm going to make some decisions with emotion and logic, and
You
that makes
bet.
them better.
Makes them stronger.
Yeah.
You actually have sympathy and empathy for other people.
Yeah.
You understand how people think.
Yeah.
You've got emotional intelligence.
Exactly. Prime example, Beyonce, Lemonade. You don't think that was an emotional song? It was,
Exactly.
but damn, logical decision, Money in the Bank. That album did well.
You're damn right.
That video did well.
Mm-hmm.
And people got pissed at Jay-Z, so another.
Yeah. You turn the tide on Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Jay-Z.
Yeah. So
That's the power.
That's power right
Females.
there.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Ugh. All right. So thinking about, women leaders out in the world, like
Yes.
good old Beyonce,
Mhm.
what fictional boss or leader who is a woman, who's your favorite?
Well, it's Tina Fey in 30 Rock. Liz Lemon.
Yeah.
I loved everything about that show.
Oh, for sure.
And I loved her. So I don't know that my leadership style would necessarily be patterned after her, but I mean, just
It's perfect.
every bit of it was glorious. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's why.
You know what I like about her? She puts food as a priority. She will eat that sandwich,
That's important.
Yeah.
Yes. Self-care is important.
even when you're a boss.
Yeah.
Even more when you're a boss.
Even more when you're a boss.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yes. So what about you? What fictional lady boss or leader is your favorite?
Well, if we're talking about real world or real-ish world, I'm thinking Renata Klein on Big Little Lies. Oh. She, played by Laura Dern. Uh-huh. She is a badass. A little scary. Some of the best bosses are. Yes. Let's be honest. I'm really liking her style.
Okay.
But over in the fantasy world, I'm thinking Sansa Stark, who I will not say what happened at the end of Game of Thrones, but she did well for herself.
Okay, I figured that was a Game of Thrones.
Sorry,
reference.
yes, Sansa Stark, redheaded woman.
Okay.
Ruling the world.
I like it. Okay. See? Strong. We could have posters of them around.
Oh my God, yes, we will.
Inspirational.
Yeah.
You know, like those read posters you used to see in the library with like celebrities, you know? Like I was supposed to believe that Shaquille O'Neal was like reading that book, like Gulliver's Travels, read Shaquille O'Neal. No. But this you could believe.
You know who's in one of those posters?
Who?
David Bowie.
Really?
For sure.
Do you think we could get that poster?
I will pay a lot of money to get that poster. I've seen that at the Des Moines Library before. Yeah.
Oh, and is it hard to break into the Des Moines Library?
Probably not. Okay. I mean,
we should talk about this off air.
We should probably talk about this off air.
Crime syndicate.
I forgot we were on the microphone. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
No, that's not something. That's probably, that's an artifact
never mind,
they want to keep.
Never
we would
mind.
Never. No. I'm sure it's for sale somewhere. We'll find it. Don't worry.
Okay, so thinking about female leaders, women in control.
Love it.
I have a fiction pick.
Okay.
From 1993 by Octavia Butler, Parable of the Sower. Have you read this, Erin?
Yes.
Are you a fan of Octavia Butler as well?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So this, like I said, written in the 90s. And from that vantage point, the book is set in around the 2020s. And what's fascinating, you know, I realized this week as I was researching and reminding myself of this book, she predicted a lot. One is that climate change is wreaking havoc in this world. One is the disparity between rich and poor has grown so wild that there are gated neighborhoods on the outside of which are homeless pyromaniacs trying to get in. Racism, you know, still around, alive and well. And a couple presidential candidates emerge promising to make America great again. Like, that's legit what they say in this book. Yeah.
Oh my God, I
completely
remember that.
forgot that. Yeah. Yeah, how crazy is that? So this is the world she predicted. Octavia Butler was obviously a seer of some sort.
Clearly.
So,
Yeah.
In the book, Lauren is growing up in sort of the remnants of a gated community. Okay. And she has this ability, hyper empathy, where she can feel the pain of everyone around her. In a world in which there's a lot of pain, this is kind of painful to her to be able to do this. Yeah. She starts developing this new belief system based on knowledge of plants and what it takes to survive in this new world, what she calls Earthseed. She thinks it's humans' destiny to travel beyond Earth, to live on other planets, and Earthseed is a sort of preparation for this. A little bit into the book, the community she's living in is compromised. The home is lost. Family is gone. So she travels north with other survivors, and outside the gates on the old highways, it's kind of chaos. I don't know about you, but that image of these highways where everyone is walking was just haunted me for a long time.
Yep.
She starts gathering friends and followers who think she's onto something with Earthseed, and they build a community in Northern California where she is the leader. Lots more happens. There's this book, and there's the next book, Parable of the Talents, in this same story. Why I chose it for this theme is it's looking at a woman leader, made so by her beliefs, by her support of others. But one thing I really liked about it is it's almost like a critique of that idea that women leaders are too emotional, that they can't handle this kind of stuff. Because she has this actual ability to feel and to empathize with others. And it's no joke, but it actually enables her to be a better leader, like we were just saying.
Yeah.
I also chose this because Octavia Butler herself was kind of a leader. She wrote sci-fi as a Black woman with African-American characters in a time, especially when sci-fi was dominated by lots of white men. She wrote sci-fi that's often cited as a driving force behind Afrofuturism. So she's a terrific writer. She has a number of series and other books. This book in particular is very gripping, very heartbreaking, very real. But just one more note on why she's a boss. I saw her speak a year or two. She died suddenly, I think in 2005 or 2006 of a stroke.
Okay.
I saw her a year or two before that speak.
Oh.
She was so just badass, but also practical as hell. She talked about just how hard writing is, the hard work you have to put into it, the belief in yourself you have to put forth. She would repeat a mantra to herself that I'm going to be a best-selling author. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And then she worked her ass off to get there, to get to the point that she was, which is leadership in my mind.
Absolutely.
Leading by example, leading herself on the path that she wants to lead.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Wow.
Anything
That's
you want to
very
add on that
cool.
book since you
No,
read it too?
I did, but I've read it so long ago I forgot
Yes.
a lot of that.
Yeah.
Like when you were talking, I was like, geez, that's, yeah.
I had completely forgot about the parallels to
Yeah.
Trump's campaign. Yeah.
I
It was
didn't,
really
that kind of blew my mind. Now that you
freaky.
say that,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, that didn't even occur to me. Wow.
Crazy.
She's I mean, that's terrible to say, but for her, that would be so scary if she was alive, probably.
Oh my God.
She'd be like, what have I done?
Yeah. Well, I would say that, maybe he stole that, but I'm going to hazard a guess that he's not a big reader.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do think that's fair. Yeah.
Or particularly of, women books.
Yeah.
Yeah,
probably.
He's not a fan of women.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Fan of fiction, but not so
If
much
lying
whim.
is considered fiction, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. Shall we move on to your picks?
Yes. Okay.
Great.
So my pick this week is called The Mothers by Britt Bennett. So I picked this book. It's a little bit different in terms of a female boss leadership. And the reason I picked it is because the title, The Mothers, refers to this group of women that run this church in this book. They're kind of the elders of the community. They're referred to as the mothers, and they make a lot of the decisions for the church. So that's one reason, because that's kind of this character who's not quite a character throughout the whole book. That's kind of this omnipresent driving decisions, but isn't necessarily right on the front line saying this is what you have to do, which is actually true of a lot of leadership. It's kind of a, unspoken thing. So this book was published in October of 2016. It's set in a contemporary Black community in Southern California. So the whole book starts with the secret that you find out right from the beginning. And then that secret is kind of carried through the whole book. And it's not so much focused on the actual secret as much as it is how relationships are formed around that, how relationships fall apart because of that, the life values people hold true, the things that prove that some people are not what they say because of that. So it has Nadia Turner and Aubrey are these two teenagers that the book starts with, complete opposites. Like Aubrey's full into the church. She's very involved in the church. Nadia is involved in the church in as much as her dad is very involved in it. Her mother has committed suicide the year before. And so she's really struggling with that and struggling with the place of faith and church and those types of things in her life. So they actually become great friends. And so the rest of the book is kind of how their friendship works around this secret. There's another character, Luke, who plays a very central role in their relationship, but also because his dad is the pastor of the church and his mom is kind of like the first lady then of the church. And she is actually the real leader and the one making the decisions, good or bad. So I picked it because of referring to the actual mothers of the church, referring to Luke's mother, who's kind of the person that's really the leader. But I also picked it because I think some of the central themes in here are central to lady bosses and female bosses. The pull between making a decision between having a family and having a career, making the decision to go to college and put something else on hold, feeling unfulfilled because you pick one and then you don't feel good about the other. Kind of that pull that all females feel in general, but I think especially people that succeed in a career get a lot of extra pressure about. Yeah. So I liked that for all those reasons, but I also think it's just a very interesting take on female leadership. It's an interesting take on the role that moms play as a leader in their children's lives. So I think you could take the, she's the boss theme in a bunch of different ways in this book, but ultimately it's a fantastic read. It's you really feel propelled forward because of the secret and you're trying to figure out everything, but it stays with you because of the relationships and there's so many things to relate to. And so many feelings you have when you finish it. So I loved it. I think it was her debut novel, this Brit Bennett. Yeah. And she's amazing. I hope that she's getting ready to publish something soon because it was 2016. So
it's time.
Yeah. No pressure. Yeah. But,
hey, Brit, 2019.
I mean, Target would take the exclusive on that if I'm running it. Just saying.
How are you going to stage this takeover, by the way, of Target?
It's multi-level.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
There's a lot.
You don't want to reveal the plan.
Not on air.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. It's detailed. I'll send you a PowerPoint.
Oh,
tonight.
Great. I should get started on my corporate espionage.
Yes.
Yeah. I really need to
that's
get on that.
Meeting Monday morning.
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah, great. You brought up a point about in this book about women leaders, but also just women in general having to make those choices between, what we're supposed to be doing as women versus, what you might want for a career. I think that's another way that women leaders have to differentiate themselves. They have to either figure out a way to do both, which is kind of impossible in so many ways, or they have to take a seat back while the men, who don't have to make these decisions somehow get to move beyond them, which is very frustrating.
And I think also they're in a position to always defend the decision. I do think regardless of how you feel, a male in a leadership position never has to, if he doesn't have children or isn't married, that's never a decision that he has to defend.
Absolutely
There might be assumptions that are made about him. I'm not saying that necessarily. I'm just saying that he's never put in this position where constantly, you don't want kids? Oh, you didn't get married?
Yes.
And it's sort of like this, accusation that somehow you've missed something or somehow you put too much importance on your career and now you're missing this. And instead of just saying, oh, that's a personal choice, which is what males get as a pass, but females don't. So I think that that's central to a lot of the picks and the things when I was trying to come up with what one I wanted to narrow down. This one wasn't as straightforward as a workplace with a female boss, but I just felt like this has females all over in different leadership positions and all at the point where they're struggling with the central thing that comes with being a female boss, which is frankly being female.
Yes.
So,
and having to defend yourself no matter which avenue you take.
Yes.
You're never going to win.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that actually kind of relates to my other genre pick. It is called All the Single Ladies, Unmarried Women and the Rise of an Independent Nation by Rebecca Traister from 2014.
Oh,
yeah.
She's the one who wrote Good and
Yes,
Mad?
Good and Mad.
Okay.
Yes,
all right.
this was, I don't know if this was her first book, but it was the first one that put her on my radar.
Okay.
You knew what I meant.
Yeah,
yeah,
you were
yeah.
on her radar,
As I
she
was
was
trying
on
to move
yours.
those, yeah.
Mutual
All the
radars.
Yes.
Every radar going off. It's fine. I liked it.
So she starts with a fact. In 2009, the proportion of American women who were married dropped below 50%.
Really?
In other words, for the first time in American history, single women, and she's defining single women as those who have never been married, those who are widowed, divorced, separated. So women who are single at this moment in time, outnumbered married women.
Okay.
She says, even more strikingly, the number of adults that are younger than 34 who have never married was up to 46%, which is a huge jump from just a decade prior.
Sure.
She says, again, just another fact, which is really interesting, only about 20% of Americans who are aged 18 to 29 are married. Whereas in 1960, it was like 60% of this age group. So this is some very dramatic change over a number of just very short generations. This is happening. So increasingly, this book says that women who are single, whether by choice, whether by circumstance, they are not alone. And in fact, they are part of this rising demographic that has a lot more power than people might think. She says, in fact, that single women are and have been throughout history a hugely important force in politics, in culture, throughout really society. And they're leading the way for massive changes, not just in politics, but also in marriage, how it's defined on an individual and a societal basis. She's saying that women increasingly, because of education, because of a number of things, realize female life does not have to mean marriage and kids, or it can mean a definition of marriage and kids that maybe they weren't taught themselves, something different than what they thought it meant. I think I've said on the podcast before, I'm not married. I don't have kids. It's not something I've ever wanted. So it was interesting to read that I'm definitely not alone in this aspect.
Yeah.
and how just it's changed so much even in my lifetime. You wouldn't believe how much random flack I've gotten over the last, 20 years or so since I was of childbearing and marrying age. But it's decreased over time, which is really, really fascinating. I chose this book for a few reasons. One is that the author, Rebecca Traister, she talks about today, but she also looks at the past, how in key social movements such as abolition, suffrage movement, labor rights, civil rights, gay rights, single women or late marrying women have played leadership roles in these huge, huge movements.
Yeah.
What's great, too, is she's bringing all of these sociological things into a story that's very personal and narrative. It's not a dry, fact-ridden sort of story. It's much more where she's weaving personal memories and experiences along with history, stats. It's a really unique look at women now and in the past, and reads very, very easily.
Yeah.
Another reason I chose it is because in no way is this book anti-marriage. In fact, she's saying that this is really a celebration of the rise of single women and what that's done for all women.
Sure.
And what it's done for marriage in general. In fact, there's this tremendous quote I have to read to you. She says that once upon a time, a potential mate could more easily get away with offering only a paycheck, a penis, and a pulse. But now, by demanding more from men and from marriage, single women have perhaps played as large a part as anyone in saving marriage in America. Boom. So,
true, yeah.
Single women sort of leading the way, and single, again, being defined as single in a certain point of life, leading the way for some massive cultural changes, but also Rebecca Traister herself leading the way in this new sort of field.
Amazing.
Love it.
Didn't know yeah, that's so cool.
I have it in my bookshelf. I can lend it to you.
Oh, amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yay. I had no idea that she had another book. Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
Even as much as we immerse ourselves in books and we do a lot of research for the show, I'm constantly surprised. Like, I'll find a book by someone that I loved and I'm like, oh, they wrote, I almost feel like bad. Like I was a traitor. Like, how did I not know you had another book? I'm so sorry. I'll read it right now. I ordered it. It's coming tomorrow. Okay. I'm so sorry.
Don't worry, I love you. I do.
I do. I'm sorry. I didn't know about your backlist. I'm on it now.
We should write personal letters of apology to all of these authors that we've learned that they have other books that we haven't read.
Make a great book.
Oh my goodness. It would make a great book.
Listeners, just forget that. We're going to.
Yeah. I'm just going to cut this part out. Yeah.
Trademark.
Because we established in another episode, just saying trademark.
Trademark.
Yep.
It's just
copyright.
like seat backs. I said it, so it's mine.
Dibs. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
What do you got, Erin, for another genre book?
This one that I picked is called Mistakes I Made at Work.
Oh.
25 influential women reflect on what they got by getting it wrong. And it's edited by Jessica Bacall. So she's not the author. I mean, she is, but she's the one that edited it. Essentially, though, she went out and found 25 women in various positions, scientists, professors, celebrities, authors, all kinds of different fields, doctors, and asked them what was one of their biggest mistakes at work. And they wrote essays explaining what it was, why they feel it's a mistake, and what they learned from it. And then at the end of each section, each woman gives a set of tips, like 3 or 4 tips that she thinks are the most important for women with work. Now, you'll really like this because Broads and Books favorites Kim Gordon and Lisa Lutz are both interviewed and included.
Really?
Yeah. For what their mistakes are and how they learned from them.
I like it.
And then it has lots, like I said, lots of other CEOs, the woman that founded Jezebel.com, just all over the board. So she got the idea for creating this book after she attended a conference, a professional conference celebrating women in, professional women, which she said, great, except that what was always missing from the narrative was there was kind of this image of perfectionism, and there was never any discussion about what mistakes they made along the way. Like, where did I get tripped up? It was always just, I got here, and maybe there might be a mention like it was hard, but there was never any discussion. And she kind of took this view, which is true, that really to be an effective leader or to understand how to lead other people, you have to have moments of vulnerability and be willing to share that.
Yeah.
And so that's where she really got this idea, is that we could learn a lot from mistakes. In fact, I think when we're our most reflective, most of us could admit we learn the most from our mistakes. Even if we feel shame or we wish that we could change them for whatever reason, in reality, they've probably shaped a lot of who we are. And so she took that idea into the workplace and said we could really help other females by saying, look, I played this out and this is what happened and this is why I wish that it hadn't. So she was really trying to create that bridge between examining mistakes and then what's on the other side, which is a better leader and a more self-reflective person, you know, all those things that are needed in those types of roles. So, I mean, you have things from like doctors who are struggling with how to make life and death decisions to people that were crippled by insecurity when they first got in their job and made decisions out of defensiveness instead of a position of knowledge and saying, no, I do know what I'm talking about and this is why. And so wide range of mistakes, wide range of information, but all of it, again, centered on this idea that they all made a mistake. So, like I said, it includes the tips at the end. So I included one of Kim Gordon's tips, which speaks to a lot of what we've talked about today. The idea of work-life balance is not necessarily helpful. If you're immersed in your work and raising a family, you might feel a lot of good things, but it might not include balanced.
Ooh.
Which is so true.
It
like
is
this
so
idea.
true.
I mean, we've talked about it in this episode, this work-life balance. And
this
people
mythical work-life balance.
If you're far in your career, how could you be raising your family correctly? If you raise your family, how could you have a career? We're so pulled to have this balance, you know, work-life. It's like this mystical term that gets thrown around. And is that really possible? You know, maybe it's not possible. Maybe instead of calling it a work-life balance, we just say, this is how my life works. It's not about whether or not it feels balanced, because at no point, and as a parent and as, you know, someone who runs a couple companies, I feel like there is no moment that I feel balanced.
No.
When I'm doing well,
you're just living,
yes, you're just living. On the company side, you feel like you're doing great, but you know what? You know in the back of your head, I worked until 10 last night, and what I sacrificed was time with the kids. So that doesn't feel balanced. Or you go on vacation with the kids, and you're spending 24 hours a day, and you say, oh my gosh, it's so hard to come back because all this stuff happened. You never feel balanced.
No.
And so if you let go of that as a thing that you have to have, you're just living your life, and every day is going to be unbalanced, which is a hell of a lot more truthful than saying that you're ever going to achieve a balance.
And it's so much more something that you can achieve, because first off, work-life balance is never defined. We don't know what that's supposed to mean. We don't know what it's supposed to look like. And if we do, it's some sort of Instagram picture of what that looks like, which is not real.
Right.
So when you're, especially like a young woman, maybe in college, and you're looking at like female leaders and supposed to find this balance, but don't know how to get there, this should be required reading.
Yeah.
Especially in like MBA programs or something like that.
Yeah. I know. I was thinking the whole time that there was a lot of situations, you know, like we've done a gift-giving episode, but I mean, for girls graduating high school, college, getting new jobs, you know, someone that gets promoted, someone that's a stay-at-home mom, across the board, just understanding that there's going to be that feeling no matter where you are of, man, I messed up, but that's probably okay. You know, you're probably getting a lot further than the person who can't admit that they ever messed up. So I loved it for all those reasons. I think there's a lot of great messages in there. And I really liked that section about the work-life balance.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that maybe when you're, especially in your 20s, you're just starting out and you're experiencing failure, you feel like you've just ruined everything. You've ruined your life. But you get a little older, you go through a number of failures and you realize, oh, that's just normal. That's
first
what
one
happens.
was not so bad. This one.
Exactly. This one right now.
That was bad.
Real bad.
That first one, I'd do 10 of those again.
Like admitting on air we're going to rob the Des Moines Public Library might have been a mistake. Might have been a failure. Do you think? No. Erin's making
I stand by that.
Erin's
no,
okay.
No.
Erin's fully in.
Any crime sort of syndicate that I'm creating, I stand by.
You stand by.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's part of my life goal.
Yeah.
Crime syndicate.
I want you to think of a really good name for your crime syndicate, because
I need to work on that.
Yeah. I mean, we need to come up with some branding. We need to do lots of things. Yeah.
Some underground branding. 'Cause you don't want a crime syndicate that's
dark
way
web
out there.
branding. Yeah.
I want my crime syndicate to kind of be like a rumor.
Oh, yeah.
And then when
Word
you
of
find out
mouth.
that there actually is one, is because you're in trouble and you're not going to be able to tell anyone that you were right. It actually exists.
There's no Yelp reviews on this one.
No. You're just like,
yeah.
Oh, this was real. Okay. Yeah. Huh. Misread that. That's how I want it to be.
I like that. These are good leadership decisions we're making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stand by it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, it takes a strong female to be the head of a crime syndicate.
It sure does. Or head of Target taking out Jeff Bezos.
Both. And I won't say that I'll use one without the other.
If I was expecting both were like, night and day kind of thing. Like, yeah.
It's like a Clark Kent Superman thing, except I'm not a journalist. I'm running a CEO thing.
Yeah. You're a CEO, and at night, you're the leader of a crime syndicate.
Yes.
And I am your backup. I'm your consigliere.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm your espionage leader.
Yeah, I like it. I kind of like you in the advisory role. I don't want you to feel like you have to do all the dirty work.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay.
I'm going to delegate the dirty work.
Okay.
Like, I'm going to, come up with some real dirty ideas.
Okay.
And by dirty, I mean, criminal.
Right.
And, all of that. And then I will delegate.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'm going to have a
I don't
crew
want
of
you
minions.
stressed. I want you to have a work-life balance.
We really need a work-life balance if we're going to do both of these things.
Yeah. If I'm going to run a crime syndicate and run Target, I need a
Yeah.
work-life balance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's going to
So
help
much
when you
to
have
do.
work-life balance is
What?
to watch something that
Yes.
really helps you unwind,
That's
but
true.
also makes you feel good about just the world.
What would you recommend, Amy?
Well, along the theme of, women leaders,
Yes.
women doing the thing.
Yes.
I chose a show called Pose on FX. I
Never heard of it.
am a little late to this. This came out starting last year.
Okay.
Second season just started this summer. I found it on Netflix. It's streaming. So there you go.
Bonus.
So let me tell you a little about the story, and then I'll tell you why I think it's perfect
Okay.
for this theme. So think of this. You're a teenager or you're a young adult in the 1980s. You were assigned boy when you're born, but as you get older, you're really a girl.
Okay.
You try to hide it, but you're also sort of trying to explore it, right? Like maybe you're dressing in girls' clothes, maybe you're doing something else that somehow tips off your parents.
Okay.
And your parents do not accept this. They, like many at this time and even now, think this is abhorrent. They disown you. They kick you out. So you make your way to New York City because you think there might be more people like you there.
Sure.
And you wanna try it. But you're sleeping on the street. You're maybe engaging in sex work because it's all you can get. Then you find a woman like you who takes you in, a mother who chooses you, who loves you as you are, and she heads a house of kids and adults like you. And as a house, you perform in balls. You compete in dance, in modeling, in all sorts of things. That's the story of the characters on Pose. And this is based on a true story from the 1980s where there was a ballroom scene in New York City made up of gay and trans people of color. And the balls were competitions where people could compete in categories like executive realness, butch queen.
So by balls, you mean like a contest, not they're
Yes.
not in physical balls. Sorry, that sounds so dumb, but that's what I
No,
thought.
you're right.
Okay,
You're right.
okay.
Yes. No, this is almost like pageants or something like that. Yeah.
Because at first I
Good
got
call.
confused. I was like, they're in balls,
Yeah.
they're competing. Okay, now it makes more sense. Sorry.
No, that's all right. No, they're
Okay.
like walking the runway
Okay.
kind of thing in this
Gotcha.
ball that they're calling it a ball.
Ball. Okay, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
And so they've got these categories. One of them is Dynasty because, 1980s.
Why wouldn't it be?
Yeah. There's an amazing documentary that actually shows this whole real world.
Really?
And it's called Paris is Burning, also on Netflix.
Oh, I've heard you
Yes.
talk about this. Yes.
It shows the ball world. It shows many of the real people. And so that's what this show is kind of based on. For trans people especially, this was a way, this ballroom scene was a way to excel at doing something maybe they couldn't in the mainstream world, to pass as a woman, to pass as Black or Latina. So in the show, we meet a trans woman who decides to form her own house, to become a mother, and to take in some young gay men and trans women. And they compete in some of the most glorious things you have seen on television. I watch these and just my smile is just all over the place. It's amazing. But at the same time, they're dealing with, the realities of 1980s. AIDS is killing people, especially in this community. Sex work is often a necessity. And all of them are balancing on this knife's edge of being able to survive.
Mm-hmm.
I chose this because we're talking about women who lead. And the show Mothers, which is interesting that you chose a book called Mothers, they are leaders in this community. They give so many young people life, literally. They're taking them off the streets, they're protecting them, and they're showing a way of living with pride, without shame. And that's truly leading, in my opinion. Also, this show is the first sort of mainstream show based fully around trans women of color and featuring actresses that are trans women and telling their stories, filling the screen with this amazing representation. It feels so remarkable in so many ways. So I think that not only will future generations be able to see themselves on the screen in ways they haven't been able to before, but also this could go a long ways to helping everyone understand that, you know, trans people are people and they are beautiful and they are amazing. And in many ways, they can form a family that's way better than the actual family that you're born in.
Sure.
So I think this show is leading the way. I think trans women of color are leading the way in this show and in life, just as they did. You know, we're recording this at the end of Pride Month. Trans women started the damn Stonewall riot, which this is 50 years ago this year. And we're all reaping the benefits today. So it's a truly joyful, but also heartrending experience watching this show. And I can't recommend it enough.
I've never heard of it.
It's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, check it out on Netflix.
I will have to. Yeah. That's great. Well, yours is like very important and mine's kind of just fun.
We need that too for a work-life balance, Erin.
Okay, true. All right.
And by the way, this is fun too. You
Well,
watch
yeah,
these
yeah,
balls,
it seems fun, but you
and
know.
there are women, you know, bitching at each other, like, you know, reading each other. There's
yeah.
Vogue competitions, all on it. It's beautiful.
Okay, great. My pop culture pick this week is called Younger. And it is a show. It's on TV Land now. It started in 2015. Season 6 just premiered. It stars Sutton Foster as Liza Miller, who is a recently divorced mother. She's in her 40s. She went through college. She wanted to be an editor, in a big publishing company. She gave up her career to stay home. And now that out of necessity, she needs to return to the workforce. Her resume looks terrible because she's going up against these young millennials who are hip on social media and how to use all these new things that have come out. And so interview after interview is just going terrible when they find out her age. And so she decides, with the help of her friend Maggie, who's played by Debbie Mazar, to just lie about your age. Get the job. What's it going to matter? You're going to be great at your job. You're a good person. It'll be fine. And, you know, they shouldn't be asking or figuring that out anyway. So she goes into an interview with Diana Trout, who is supposed to be one of the big editors, big publishing company. And she lies and she gets the job. So the whole premise of the show is her working through this. Hilary Duff plays one of the strong female editors on the show. As I mentioned, I can't think of the Miriam Shore plays Diana Trout.
Right.
So what I love about this is eventually, you know, it comes out, their age, you know, they work through all that. But what I love is watching her make her way as a female leader, but also the show is centered, you know, you've got this very strong Diana Trout character who's an editor. You've got Hilary Duff who's an editor. These are very strong examples of female leadership. And it's touted as a comedy drama. They're half-hour episodes. And it really kind of is. Like, there's a lot of really funny moments in it, but there's also a lot of moments that really make you think or really have you stop and go, you know, that's true. Like, in our world, the work-life balance, having a child. Can you work as hard? You know, you've got Diana Trout who has no children and expects these crazy hours, but then underneath it all, her own regrets and her own, you know, humanity comes out in a lot of ways. So, and you find there's a lot to deal with her story that has to do with, I'm this way because that's how I got this far in this industry. So if you're at all interested in the publishing industry, it's fantastic.
This is the one you were telling me about, right? With all the,
they do all these cameos of, and they give them different names, but and if you're interested in it, it's all over Twitter. It's all over Reddit. You can find out what author that's actually supposed to be. So like there's underground stories about these authors of maybe things they did to their publisher or whatever, and that's played out on the show. So there's kind of this gossipy element too that's kind of fun, but it's great. Across the board, Mike watches it with me. I mean, he likes it. So there's a lot in it. A comedy, drama, you know, a lot of lighthearted things, but also a lot of things that make you think. And you just really I also really like her best friend, Maggie, that character. She's an independent artist who owns her own studio. So another great example of she's done her own thing. She goes her own way. There's just a lot of that throughout it. And I think it's a great example of female leadership, lady bosses, and it's just fun.
Yeah.
So
I've heard great things about it. And I know you and I have talked about, you mentioned some of the great mysteries, or not necessarily mysteries, but like the you know, potential rumors that they're discussing.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is great.
They are. And it's funny because I had to look up a few of them on Twitter and Reddit because maybe I could recognize what author they were trying to go through from what they said maybe about the book, but I didn't know the story. And then it was kind of fascinating to read things about books I'd read and be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know,
Wow.
Yeah, all that hidden.
How old does she say she is when she goes into this interview?
Young, like 20s, I think. Yeah.
That's pretty ballsy. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's kind of that's what outs her at the first because obviously so much has changed. So there's things she doesn't understand about, like, they ask her to do something, I think, right away on Twitter, and she doesn't put the hashtag in it. And, like, so nothing, and they're like, what did you do? Why didn't you? And she has to act like it was just a typo. I mean, there's so many things that she has no clue, how the world works or what that is. And yeah. And then on the flip side, she's outing herself to Diana Trout a lot because she sympathizes with her. Like, oh yeah, at one point she gets like, she has this shoulder injury and they're like, well, her boss is kind of like, yeah, I got that. And he said it was due like at a certain age. And she's like, yeah, it's great. So yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's putting a lot of pressure on yourself saying that you're, in your 20s when you're actually our age.
If you're the type of person that gets annoyed, like that premise obviously can't last forever. It doesn't.
Yeah.
The show moves on to other things. It's fantastic. Obviously, it's in season 6. They move on to a lot of other things, but it's really good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I've needed to put that on my list. I just have not yet.
Yes.
I will do it now.
Yeah,
I swear to you and our listeners and to the world.
And Peter Herman, yes, that's his name, I think, plays one of the bosses of the publishing company. He's married to Mariska Hargitay in real life. Dreamy.
Oh, dreamy.
So,
okay. Yeah. I'm all in on that.
Yeah. And he's kind of this brooding, like, reader type. I mean, yeah, it's pretty great. So, yep.
Excellent. Man, we had a lot of women leaders
Killing
leading
it.
the way,
Killing
it, and came up with some ideas of our own.
Yeah.
As
usual.
always.
Yeah.
So we will be back next Wednesday. But in the meantime, head to our website, broadsandbooks.com. Check out all the recommendations we made in this episode.
Also, if you haven't found it yet, there's some bonus material on that website.
I'm so proud of our bonus
I
material.
am too.
Yeah.
The most recent is a delightful list of road trip rules.
Yeah.
With a playlist.
Yeah.
So that's like a bonus.
Exactly.
In a bonus. bonus. Bonus
That's the way
times
we
2.
roll.
Bonus squared.
Bonus squared.
Whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
Double bonus.
Yeah.
Double mint. You're fun. Bonus.
I think that whole, 10 seconds, whatever just happened right there, that's enough to earn a review. I don't know about you, but I'm thinking, if you're listening to us and you're thinking, God, Erin is hilarious, you should put that in a review.
Yeah.
Do it on your favorite podcast player. Give us a rating, give us a review. And like we've said before, when we see a new review come in, we do the happiest dance
You've ever seen. We talk about it. You will have a moment where you
will.
are the center of conversation between Amy and I.
You make our days. We make our weeks.
Yes. So fantastic.
Yep. So you can do that.
Yes. You can make that happen. And the other thing that you can do, which is we've had listeners do, and it's so fun.
Yeah.
You have a great theme idea. You think, oh, I like your lady boss thing, but here's one more.
Ooh. I'd love to see what our listeners suggest on
Give
that.
it to us.
Yeah.
Yes. Do it.
Oh God, I can't wait to hear what you have to say after this one.
Even like
we said in the past, if it's just a particular genre or a challenge, we will take that on.
Yeah, we will make it work.
So you can get that to us through our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, even our email. We are here waiting for you.
But in the meantime, happy reading.
I'm up again. Same night, another dream. Before trying this recording thing, I didn't remember much of anything of these dreams. I didn't remember much from any of the women. And one night of doing this, and it's broken things open. The dreams they're in me, and they're coming out of me, and...
Talk to me. I am not broken. I am the most whole, most real.
Cause their despair. I cause their despair. I wait for the word. I wait for the word. Which.
Look at the mad woman in her cage. She was a woman with holes inside her. That was the heaviest factor, the final evidence, the heart of the issue.
Somehow, you understand this. You hear me. Wherever you are, whatever this is, you... This isn't a dream journal anymore. It's not. It's just fact. Because now this is some sort of record. What are these dreams? Maybe there's a better question. Who are these women? Weird Woman is a Broads and Books production. All 9 episodes are available January 10th. Listen and subscribe to Weird Woman on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and your favorite podcast platform. That's WYRD Woman, wherever you listen to podcasts.